Hello everyone, my name is Robbie Holland. I'm the first human author on MechSci. I'm a postdoc at Stanford Amy Center with Akshay Chowdhury and Sergio Katidis, and our aim is to accelerate the rate of new clinical and medical discoveries leveraging foundation models. Our basic hypothesis is that within the vast amount of unexplored patient data, there exist answers to some of medicine's greatest mysteries, such as why do some people develop cancer? Due to its multimodality and sheer size, manual hypothesis generation in this type of data is very challenging. However, we now have foundation models which can digest data on this scale, outputting useful signals into abstract feature spaces. However, this signal is not immediately translatable into clinical hypotheses and clinical knowledge because it's in this abstract feature space, this black box. So our agent MechSci does two things. Firstly, it runs a sparse autoencoder to discretize the abstract feature space, and then it runs LLMs and a FIWA study to give meaning to those sparse features. It even will output a entire paper, such as the one we submitted to Agents for Science. This all rests on mechanistic interpretability, which assumes that abstract feature spaces can be decomposed into sets of linear directions that are inherently meaningful or monosemantic. We then take those linear directions and we find out what they actually mean by running an LLM on all associated radiology reports and using a judge to judge how well that interpretation worked. MechSci then also runs a FIWA study linking these interpreted sparse features to outcomes of interest to begin answering those interesting clinical questions. Firstly, we validate that this works on clinical questions where we already know the answer, such as diagnoses, and then we look at prognoses that are less well understood, and we look for connections and hypotheses that are really strong and surprising to clinicians. Overall, we're testing over 6,000 hypotheses very quickly and in an automated fashion. Overall, these sparse feature sets reconstruct the signal of the foundation model, and we included a feature explorer where you can, as a clinical researcher, scroll through all of the hypotheses that were generated automatically. Once a hypothesis has been clicked on, it will take you to the subpage where there is a button titled Generate LaTeX Paper, where MechSci will compile all of the statistics and interpretations it's made into one LaTeX file. And this was what we submitted to the Agents for Science conference. It was on image concept 66, which was a hypothesis for the onset of skin cancer, explaining 42% of all cases of onset to skin cancer in our dataset. The more this feature activated, the more onset of skin cancer there was. And Gemini 2.5 Pro thought that this was something to do with abnormal soft tissue density. This hypothesis translated not only to the Stanford test set, but also across the Bay to Tri-Valley Hospital, showing that these hypotheses can start to spread knowledge potentially around the world. Upon further manual inspection, we find that this feature is localized in the lower abdomen and actually relates to thickening of the colon and rectal walls, which was not too far off the LM autointerp, but then likely also relates to patients who may already have had cancer at a different institution. Nonetheless, this is still really important to know. Thank you.